Hey guys, welcome and thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Of course, I'm your host, Montel Williams, and this is where we explore everything interesting and dynamic in the world of cannabis. And today, we have a very special guest who is a true titan in the cannabis industry, Lilach Mazor Power. She's the founder and CEO of the Mazor Collective, which includes the Giving Tree Dispensary in North Phoenix, as well as 3 cannabis lines, Revelry, Sneakers, and Kindred. Welcome, Lilach. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's start a little bit. Let's go back and tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you originally from, and how did you first get interested in the cannabis industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally born and raised in Israel, moved here to Arizona about 16 years ago, worked on different business plans, always had that bug, and started working on a wellness center, which was about really bringing the Eastern medicine with Western medicine and treating people more of in a holistic way, and ran a business plan and realized there's absolutely no money in it. So dropped that. And at the same year, cannabis, medical marijuana came up on the ballot in Arizona, and I decided to apply for the licenses. So this was 2012, and won a license and learned how to operate a cannabis business back in Arizona in 2012.
Had you dabbled in cannabis before this? Was this something that interested you before you even decided to go out and apply for a license?
I always believed in the medical properties of marijuana, especially coming from Israel, where most of the research have been done since the 60s. I always believed in it, and I always knew that there's not necessarily strict medical, but relaxing, enjoying a quiet evening or sleeping or anxiety, other things that people don't necessarily tag as medical that are good for the well-being of humans. So I was always into it, but never had a side business.
Well, I've always said on here that I believe anybody who gravitates to cannabis instead of, let's say, alcohol or other substances, are gravitating for a medical reason anyway, whether they admit it or not. If you want to sleep better, that's a medical reason. If you want to relax when you come home from work, that's a medical reason. If you want to lessen your anxiety, it's a medical reason. So, I firmly understand what you're saying. And, was it difficult when you first decided to get in? Because, this is very, very cash intensive, right? To start a business like this.
Yes. First, I always tell people the story of my business plan of how we're going to start this business was wrong by one digit, which was 10. Thinking how much cash we're going to need versus how much it was. Yes, it was hard. People did not see this business as a sexy business back there. So there was no interested parties. We could not raise money from anyone. So we really had to cash out everything and build it step by step. We would build a grow room, get harvest, sell it, and then build the next one. And it was years before I could withdraw a salary, and really struggled in the beginning. This is not an easy business.
And what set your Giving Tree, dispensary model apart from others? What was the difference that you were trying to exploit when it comes to consumers understanding there's something different about what you were doing?
Well, first of all, I think it's very important to know that we are one of the only women-owned cannabis license holders in Arizona. And I think that shows from the minute you walk in to our dispensary. First of all, windows all over, so people can see in and out and get that comfort feeling before they even walk. Because I heard so many people, especially women, say that it's kind of scary to open that door to the dispensary.
Very, very lucky that you were able to do that in Arizona, because in other states, they don't allow windows to see in and out. But go ahead.
Very true. Very true. And I remember it was shocking in the beginning, even in Arizona. But I know how many women drive around to see where they're walking into. A lot of displays so people can have a conversation and walk around and kind of peek with their own eyes about pricing, comfort, different products. We also specialize in really, our own flowers and knowing what you're putting in your body, from testing results to how we grow it to the whatever nutrients we use. And then I think what's unique with being a small business is that we have products that are more geared to the things we believe in and the local products that we support. So when you come to Giving Tree, you can really see the hand-picked brands that you can't find in every store.
And let me get this right. In Arizona, do they require testing in Arizona or they don't require testing?
They do. We have
Okay.
required testing.
All
Third
right.
party.
Third party testing. And so now your cultivars, are these cultivars and things that you developed yourself, or did you purchase them and bring them in? How did you get it started?
In the beginning, we had a medical program and we had amazing people with patient cards that had homegrown and asked us to grow their strain on a commercial level, which was amazing, especially CBD strains that you can't even find anywhere. So that's how we got our bank in the beginning. And then after that, it's purchasing of seeds and finding the right strain for us.
And you were talking about some of your unique products that are more female friendly. That's the way to put it.
Yes, I think for product, we have capsules, which are just like edibles without calories, much cleaner. You don't get the sugars, you don't get any flavors. It's just pretty much cannabis squeezed into a capsule. So I see a lot of women and other health conscious people really gravitate to that. And then we have Revelry, which is our cannabis for menopause line, which has been great to be able to offer that and also be able to talk to women that come to the store about different use of cannabis and how it can benefit them. And I think this is what's so exciting about cannabis. It's the fact that it can really improve the well-being of almost any humans I meet.
I think it's essential. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right when you're thinking about well-being, because I mean, we all individually have our own endocannabinoid system that reacts and responds to cannabis, basically fulfilling the needs that you need. You also are pretty community centric, right? You're very much involved in community engagement and charity work. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. When I started the business, I really wanted to improve the stigma about cannabis and how people see it. And I wanted to become an active part of the community. So before I even withdrew a salary, we started the first fundraiser. I think it was good for people that come into the dispensary to be part of the community. It was good for the community to see the cannabis patients back then and the employees. I think what they had in mind versus what they met is very different. And as a community, as a cannabis, there is a built-in passion that I just wanted to bring out for others to see. So from the beginning, we started with fundraisers, walks as company. We do barbecue at a domestic bee shelter. We do as much as we can to really give back to the community and also show people what benefits the cannabis industry can bring to their communities.
Gotcha. Safety also seems to be one of the core values that you adhere to as well. You've created something called a GT stash box. Let's talk a little bit about that. Share some tips about ways to keep cannabis safe and ways to store it safely in your home.
Yes, very excited about it. So I am a mother of two boys. One is 14, so a teenager now at home. And when we talked about what's the next important thing for us. It was definitely how to educate our community to keep your cannabis safe. We see an increase of numbers of kids and pets calling for medical treatments for use of cannabis. And I think it's just from people not understanding how important it is. So we created a stash box, which is a way to stash your cannabis. And it's a great way to lock it with a code. It's a box, so you can put it anywhere. We recommend putting it up high out of reach of children or pets, and always, always lock your cannabis.
Right.
And it's been great. We gave it to all the employees, and we gave it to, and we're selling it at the store. And people are so excited. And you would not believe how many people have stories, even about their dogs. Like, oh, I, left it on the counter and my dog ate my chocolate. So it is very important to talk about it and make sure people understand that it needs to be away from reach.
Well, you have several other more tips. You're not only keeping it up high, also educating your family, making sure they understand what it is, why it's important, right?
Yes, we talk about it often in our emails, communication with the employees and with customers, especially new ones. A gummy is a gummy, and your kid will not be able to see the difference. So, really explaining to them how important it is to stash your edibles more than anything, right? The vape, not as crazy to think that this is something a dog will consume, but a chocolate is. So we try to talk to them and let them know, to educate their communities and their family members of, this is how you store cannabis. This is how you keep your family safe.
One of the other tips you have is make sure you keep it in original packaging.
Yes. So in Arizona, and hopefully follow every other state, but it is a child resistant packaging. So most of the packaging of any cannabis product will be stored in a package that will be hard or impossible for a child or your pet to get in. So keeping the product in that original packaging will also help.
And also, it gives you some information about what's in it, how much THC is in it, other things, so that if you had to, seek some assistance, if a child got into it, specifically what they consumed and be able to share that with a doctor, so a doctor could understand that, right? There's other advice that you have. What should somebody do if, let's say, a child or a pet accidentally ingests some cannabis? What should they actually do?
Make sure they understand what they took and what dose they took, and then call for a child. There will be poison control. And then for your pet, it will be to call either your veterinarian or an emergency vet place to discuss it with them. Sometimes you don't have to rush into the ER, but if your child, of course, is having any symptoms that are worrying you, always rush to the ER.
Right, when we recognize that, in the entire history of cannabis use on this planet, I don't believe that we ever found a person that's died from cannabis. However, it can be a very frightening experience for, let's say, a young child or anybody even an adult who has never used it before. And so, one of the key things, I read something that you were saying, one of the most important tips that you can give a person is to make sure that they stay calm.
Yes. It's always good to have someone next to you. So if it's you or your child or a pet, make sure you're next to them. Make sure they drink a lot of water. Make sure you're talking to them to calm them down, because we all, we're very, most of us will have that one story about how we overdid it. And it's not a fun experience. So making sure, as a responsible adult, you are there to assure the person next to you that, calm down, breathe, drink, eat, it will go away.
Absolutely. Sleep, and it'll definitely go away. I've had experiences in the past where, not myself personally, but other people who I've been around who have overconsumed and literally Go to the hospital. I don't go to the hospital. It's like, calm down, dude. Like, calm down. Just sit down, relax, try to see if you can take a nap, close your eyes. Just, you got to ride it out because, I often tell people once it's in, it ain't coming out. So you just got to take that journey and know that yours was a little tough. It doesn't necessarily have to end all journeys in the future, but you just literally overdid it. Calm down. There are some things that you can do and drink. I think, some people say drink a Coke, some people say drink coffee, some people say, there's people who have all their own little anecdotes.
Yeah, I heard peppercorn, but I do think that CBD does help.
Yeah, I mean, I have found no ifs, ands, or buts. If I have overconsumed, just go get a CBD gummy, and eat some CBD, and then try to find a very high CBD flower that you can literally take a hit off of. It will bring you back down.
It does.
Calm you down.
Yes, completely.
Now, Arizona is a fairly robust marketplace now. I mean, how do you stay competitive in such a dynamic industry in a state where there's a lot of competition?
There is a lot of competition. It's definitely the talk of the year, if not the last 2 years. There are a lot of big companies. There are a lot of mergers and acquisitions. So being a small business is actually a unique proposition, and people do care about where they're spending their money and how much of it stays in Arizona, supports the local community. We're big on supporting our veterans as well. So I think people that make the decision about where to shop because they're supporting their own local community comes to us. I think the other thing that we're very known for is our service. So as any business, as you probably know, it's not about me. It's about my team. It's about the first and last person they see when they walk into the store. It's about how much care trimmers put into trimming cannabis. And that is what's unique about us. We tell people the story of the people that trim their weed. They are not rushed when they're in the store. They are never upselling something that you just want to increase your average, but give them something that will benefit their lifestyle and their well-being. And that will be our best marketing. They're coming back to see you because you helped them. They're going to bring their neighbors because you helped them. And it takes longer, but there's two ways. You either build to sell or build to last. And we built it to last. And it's a roller coaster. This is not an easy business, but I'm very proud of what we have achieved and the customers that keep loyal.
You told us about the brand that you have. It's a menopause brand, but you have other brands. Let's talk a little bit about some of the brands that you've created.
Yes, big believer in brands. I think the consistency of a product is what often missing in this industry. So to be able to find a product that works for you and be able to get it time after time is very important. So we started with Kindred, which is a capsule brand, and it has different ratios and different dosing. Then we have Revelry, which is cannabis for menopause that I spoke about. And we also have Sneakers, which is a pre-roll brand that comes in 0.5 gram or 1 gram. And that is what we also wholesale with our flower in it in about 70 stores in Arizona.
Wow. That's very interesting. And you do third-party testing, or do you do your own testing?
We do third-party testing.
Got it.
Yes. I mean, it's a good way to keep the trust of the customers and know that we're providing the right product for them. It's also state mandate, but we always did that. I think as you wholesale, it is very important to get that trust from other customers because they don't walk into my store and get to know my employees. So getting that trust from other customers is by those propositions, our flower, our nutrients, our team, and third-party testing for everything.
Now, you're the first female president of the board of directors for the Arizona Dispensary Association. Tell me a little bit about that role and the mission of the association.
Yes. It's been 2 years, and the industry, as you know, is always changing. We are an association. We represent 80% of the license holders in Arizona. The mission is really to represent, be the connecting partner with our capital or politicians, educate the community and our state and city officials, and also be great partner for compliance, to help our members be in the standards of the health department and be good players in the industry. And of course, networking, which is always good for the community. I believe this is the only industry that the association represent the biggest players, and we have Cureleaf and Trueleaf here, two people like me, and we sit in the same room and we work together for the same goal. So it's a great opportunity for new brands, service providers, and license holders to become part of the industry and have that standards as part of their marking on their door.
As you look ahead, and coming down the pike very quickly will be some sort of a ruling from the DEA, Schedule 1, Schedule versus Schedule 3. What do you think? Have you been thinking about that? Are you guys preparing for that from an association standpoint? I know you must be preparing it for yourself as an individual dispensary owner, but this is going to throw a significant monkey wrench, I think, into the business nationwide.
We're excited. I always tell people in this industry, you have to be excited about baby steps as long as you're making them. And that is the scheduling.
Well, but they're not descheduling; they are rescheduling,
Reschedule.
and that reschedule may be a baby step that throws a monkey wrench into your entire business. You do understand once we go from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, it becomes a drug that falls under the FDA. Cannabis has never been under the FDA, so therefore the FDA could come in tomorrow and say, "You're done. Any product that you have on your shelf, anything that you've been doing, you have to get a certificate from us that it's a valid prescribable medication." So, I mean, I think, a lot of people are looking at it from a 280E standpoint and looking at it from, a banking business standpoint, but they're skipping the fact that, if you go back in time, you got to remember that the federal government owns the patent on CBD and owns the patent on several other minor cannabinoids. And tomorrow they can walk into your store and tell you anything that's got our patented product in it, you can't sell.
Absolutely. I have to say that any change with the government that has to do with cannabis is watch it with some excitement and some fear. And when you make any SWOT analysis for your business, if you don't have government regulation as part of that thing that is always up there that can erase us overnight, you're delusional.
But see, I'm thinking like organizations like your Arizona, Cannabis Association probably collectively should be sitting in a room thinking about what are we going to do to be proactive rather than reactive, because there's no telling what the first decision could be coming out of the DEA. I mean, could they be opening up the door? And depending on who gets in office next, there could be some significant changes to what's going on. We already know that there have been over 25 legislators in the Senate and Congress who signed on to some sort of a letter demanding that the DEA does not change the status. So, I mean, this could be a little bit more trepidatious than we think.
I completely agree, and we are in conversation as the association. We watch, the loophole with hemp. We watch the government rescheduling and what it could do. In this industry, I have to say, if you're not an optimistic in your core, the risk in this industry you just can't tolerate, because this is over and over and over again something is out there that can kill you. But if you join this industry like I did, because I believe in it, and we go through this roller coaster and we fight for what's right and we do everything we can, then it makes it all worth it.
You said earlier you're the only female that has a license in the entire state of Arizona. That seems crazy to me. You think that women are treated equally in this business?
Well, I want to make sure I am one of the only one. There's a few more.
Okay.
There's probably five of us. I think I'm the only majority owned, so women owned business. But there's few players in the industry. Are women treated equally? We had the same opportunity. You could have applied for a license. It was out there for everyone. Women have harder time raising funds. And as you talk about the issues in this industry, being only able to raise money from private capital makes it very hard for women and minorities to get in. Bank of America will have a fund dedicated to women and minorities. They want that diversity. In the private world, there isn't. No one's held accountable for that. So when you talk about opportunities, it's much harder. I think financials is a big part of it. I think also women are less risk adverse. Like they see risk where men see opportunity. So when we went for it, there was not many women that decided to leave their comfortable life and decide to do something that could risk, going to jail for. I hope more women will see the opportunity in it. And I think more women are coming into it now. I see other states and I see brands that are opening here, and there's many more women players. So I think it's getting better.
And what do you see? What's been going on in Arizona? I don't know anything about what's happening there, but what's going on in Arizona when it comes to, hemp derived Delta 9 or some of these Delta 8 products and that? Do you sell those products in your shop?
We don't sell them. It is a loophole. I don't think that the government realized what they did when they made that farm bill. I think they're going to try to fix it. And I think they're going to put some regulations because it is sold everywhere and it's not tested. And as much as you just said, there's no recorded death of cannabis, I don't think we have long enough research or data to show us what it is to convert hemp into THC and what it does to our bodies on a long-term use.
I would agree with you 100%. I don't think anybody saw that coming or they were not prepared for. Like I said, it's reactive rather than proactive. And, I've been really against because I don't believe that I think at the end of the day, when we really take a look at now, Delta 8 does naturally occur in the hemp plant, but not in a quantity enough to actually, inspire or cause any kind of an effect. It is pushing some of the CBD in hemp to turn it into Delta 8 using chemicals that your endocannabinoid system doesn't understand what they are. We have no idea what we're doing. And I've heard so many adverse effects. I literally, I'll tell you something, have been adamantly against using any of those products. And I, on one occasion, was in a different state where somebody, and first off, I have my own product line that's in Massachusetts. I'm going to launch in Georgia. And I truly only consume my own products. And very seldom do I ever even accept a flower from someone else. If I'm somewhere out and people say, hey, you want to, no, I don't know where it came from, so I have no interest in it. And on the one dumbass occasion that I literally took something from somebody, realized after the fact, and I'm telling you, at the first inhalation, I was like, what the hell is this? And I gave it back. And so, that's a Delta 8. I was like, really? And then for the next day and a half, I will tell you, I really honestly felt like crap. It was just the nastiest feeling in your head. And, even the next day, I wasn't tired, but I wasn't energized. I was like, this is really just bad. And so I have been adamantly against any of those kinds of products. And, unfortunately, I think you're absolutely right that we're still trying to figure out what regular THC does to you, let alone now try to figure out something derived from under the counter chemicals in your kitchen. You know what I mean?
It scares me because I think when you have seen how cannabis can help people, we are now changing the industry.
Man, having to worry about how it'll hurt people. Yeah, right.
Yes. And what is going to happen in 20 years is everything we have done and how much good we have done is going to be destroyed by what we are now seeing this industry moving into. It will be sad if we see that we actually, as an industry, harmed people.
Absolutely. Now, Arizona, you have an adult use
Yes.
initiative, and you also have medical, right?
Yes.
Do you differentiate those in your store where you sell?
No, there's no physical differentiation. There is quantity of how much patients can buy in terms of flour, grams or milligrams, how much they are allowed to carry on themselves. And then, of course, there's 16% in taxes. But we just saw the number of patients drop under 100,000 in Arizona. So the trend is not looking great.
So more people are going to the rec market. And I'm sorry, you said is that 60% tax on the adult use or on the medical?
No, it's 8% sales tax in Arizona overall, and then extra 16% for adult use.
An extra 16%?
That's correct.
So you're paying 24% tax for adult use?
Yes.
Holy
So
moly.
people should get their card. It makes sense. It's if you are a regular user of cannabis, it makes sense.
Yes.
But I think people don't like to be registered. It's extra work. It costs money. So, they drop their medical status.
And wait, now is it not only the amount of grams that you can have in your possession, but is there something that limits the amount of THC, or can you have a higher THC level in medical than you can in the adult use? Because in some states they do that, right?
We do. So the limit for edibles is for adult use is 100 milligram per container, and
Yeah.
each unit not more than 10 milligrams. And there's really no limit with medical.
Got it. So you could have a 500. You could get a bar because I've seen this way. Some bars for recreational use is 100.
1,000 milligrams.
Yes, gotcha, and no limit. Okay, gotcha.
That would kill me. I would be.
And it's very funny. It depends on I guess your average intake because there was a period of time where I literally could consume a 500 milligram bar and
And completely yeah.
go right out to work. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I've kind of taken not a break from, but I've lowered my amount of consumption, and that 500 milligram would be on the floor. Yeah, for sure.
I was talking to someone at one of my team members, and one said she takes 100 milligrams before she goes to the gym, and then the other one said, "Yeah, I take 200 before I go to the gym."
Yeah,
So
I have been in that mode where I have no ifs ands or buts eaten 250 before I've gone to the gym without easily. But now I don't do that anymore. I can't do it now. I've kind of I use it medically and have done so medically. I'm on kind of like a little roller coaster. Sometimes I can, there are periods of time when I need a little bit more, and there are periods of time when I don't need as much. And so, over the course of the last good solid 2 years, I've changed my consumption. There's no question. I know I have. There are periods of time where I can, get through a whole day with one or two inhalations off my vape pen. There are other days where, I got a little bit more neuropathic pain where I might need a little bit more. And
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, it's not every other day where I have to make a change. It's like sometimes I can go a week where, I'm feeling pretty good this week. And then the next week, my neuropathic pain is a little bit more. So I will have noticed that I have consumed a little bit more. And I only do that in retrospect. I will think back and went, wow, I knocked that vape pen out this week. The last one lasted me 3 weeks. It was really kind of weird, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. I can tell you something interesting. So, this is a mom of boys. I get to speak to a lot of other moms who whisper in my ear that they use cannabis or that they're taking a sleeping pill and Benadryl every single night to
Ah,
be able to shut down their minds. And then I convert them into a gummy user. And you can see in the store, like our data, but also just from talking that the consumption of cannabis, especially with women, goes up before school starts. So the 2 weeks before, when there's all that logistics happening before holidays, when it's
yep.
like the marathons of mom to from Thanksgiving hosting to picking up the gifts and wrapping them to again hosting or going to family or having family over, then they are doubling it or increasing their dose. And then after New Year's, it goes back down.
Yep.
So we all have that. Some people more for, chronic disease, but some people it's just for stress and life hacks, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Life hacks. You're right. Absolutely. Anything else you want to share? I mean, I'm excited to hear. I mean, are you getting ready to expand? Are you going to open up another store dispensary, or are you staying where you are? What are you doing?
Retail store, we're staying where we are. There's going to be some exciting things happening in Arizona, which, for example, is delivery to customers, not just medical, but also adult use. So definitely finding my brands on the trucks, which was always part of our goal, not to have more retail store, but to be in more other people's shelves and the Amazon truck, as we call it, the delivery method. And just increasing sneakers into more stores and developing the cannabis line for menopause, doing a lot more experiment there and working with some company in Israel to develop an even better product.
Oh, that's great. That's really good. Absolutely. And
Still
um,
excited about it. So as long as I'm excited, I think I'm at the right place.
there you go. And if people wanted to find out more and more about you, where would they go?
Giving Tree Dispensary AZ is our website.
.org.com.
.com.
Got it.
MazorCollective.com will give you all brands and all our information and a way to contact us. And I think those are the best two ways.
And I forgot to ask one question because I think one of the most important aspects of this industry and this business moving forward is going to be our ability to educate the consumer. Do you guys do a lot in the education realm? Is there a place that people can go and read up about your products or read up about just cannabis from your perspective?
We're big on that. So when you come to givingtreedispensary.com, you will see our blogs talks about the different cannabinoids, consumptions, the product we have. If you subscribe to our emails, you will get a lot of information about any new products or old products or data we've seen of what have helped different people.
Cool. Great. Well, I got to say thank you so much for being a part of the show today. At any time in the future, if you want to come back, I would love to have you. It's important to have people like yourself in this industry, and especially mentoring other women and other people who are trying to get started. So I got to thank you so much for your insights and your inspiring story. And you stay well, take care of yourself, and to all of our listeners out there, it's this kind of dedication that we wish every single dispensary owner had. And make sure you stay informed. Make sure you stay, an advocate and help others understand that, there's nothing wrong with cannabis use as long as you know what you're doing. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there. Stay tuned for more enlightening discussions, and we'll see you in the next Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Thanks for joining me on Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to be notified when new episodes post each week. We'd love to hear your feedback also, so please send us your comments.